Welcome, gentlemen. Tom Croughton, Nick Day from JGA Recruiting, the world famous dynamic duo here, man. I'm so glad to see you guys in here in Wales at the CIPP. This is my first time. I'm a virgin here, I guess you could say. I'm a newbie. But yeah, man, what's going on? How you guys been?
Good. This has been, I think it's my 15th or 16th conference. I've been doing this for 22 years.
Nice.
So for us, it's great. You get to see all the same faces, a lot of familiar faces. A bit like going to the American Congress, right? You see the same people.
It's a hug fest, yeah.
It is. It's a good, the community feel may not be as big as the US. Obviously, it's a lot smaller here, but it's equally as supportive and fun. So
just as impressive. And what a beautiful venue. What a beautiful event. I mean, kudos to Jason and team. I mean, they kill it. They killed it with this. I think it's really nice. And I'm excited about the awards tonight. It's going to be fun. So, yeah, man, look, I wanted to talk to you guys because I want to know what's going on, right? You know, with the role, you guys are right there on the front lines of recruiting. You're out there sourcing the future generation of payroll leaders and the current generation of payroll leaders. Man, what's going on? Like, what's the pulse out there? What's happening?
I'll say something I say a lot in my talks, right? I think it's a super exciting time.
Yeah.
And I say that openly because a lot of people are worried about the age of AI. Is payroll going to get replaced? And I think if that was true, the people that should be most concerned in the world of what we do, we place payroll people, should be us. Like if I was really panicked that was the case, then that's the end of our business as we know it.
Yeah.
And we're seeing the opposite, right? So I think people have got to get to grips with the fact that the world is changing, roles are evolving.
Yeah.
Payroll people absolutely exist, but the kind of skills clients are looking for is changing. And there is absolutely a war for talent right now. And sounds like a cliche.
Yeah.
It probably is. But when you hear a cliche, there's usually something in it. And people are struggling to find talent because people are coming off LinkedIn. People are coming off social media. People are tired of the noise. They're tired of the approaches. And if you don't have that network, it's really hard to find top payroll talent that are actively open to finding a new position. Right. So for us, it's super exciting. It's very, very busy.
Yeah. Opportunity, I think, is everywhere. Like you've got tech changing things, but opportunity is everywhere at the moment for payroll professionals. That's what we're seeing.
It is.
We've seen I was chatting to Nick about this earlier. We've seen the power in recruiting move from clients to candidates, very much so.
Nice.
As I say, opportunities everywhere. We discussed it earlier, Pete. You used to compete for payroll talent, stick a pin in your office in a 30-mile radius.
Right.
It's not that anymore.
No.
Yeah, you have companies like all of the providers, Deal, Remote, companies that didn't exist 5 years ago, billion-dollar companies, like really bringing payroll to the light of industry, not just payroll.
Right.
I think also, historically, people would think, we need talent. Where do we go? We're going to go to Indeed. We're going to go to a job board. We're going to go to LinkedIn and find that talent. They're dormant profiles. People aren't looking in emails anymore. There's a lot of fake profiles. A lot of
bots.
AI, bots, avatars. They don't exist. I know several payroll people who very sadly are no longer with us that still have a LinkedIn profile. And it's like, people realize that you think you have the answer to your talent problems by these platforms that exist until you try and actually leverage them and engage people on them.
A stat that sums that up perfectly. So we're talking US now. So US operational payroll titles, this is LinkedIn data, 11,000 changed job in the last 12 months.
Wow.
Only 2,500 jobs were posted on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Like, it shows the power of network.
Right.
I think that's an amazing stat.
I'd always say to people when I'm doing talks, how many times have you had an email in from someone you don't know, and how many times have you opened it and done something with it? You ignore it, right?
Yeah.
So finding talent is easier than it's ever been before.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt, right?
Yes.
You don't need to be a specialist recruiter to find talent. The trick isn't in finding it, it's engaging it. Now, if you've never met me, Pete, and I'm Billy Bob Thornton, the recruiter, sends an email to you, you've never dealt with him before, you don't know who he is, most will ignore that. You don't even open it.
Plus, there's scams out there.
Loads.
I've actually had someone on my podcast who was scammed, and which is so awful because she was in a vulnerable situation between positions. But
that's who they feed off, right? The vulnerable,
so
usually.
Definitely, they're not going to. You're spamming. If you're out there, reaching out to candidates, are people going to even respond to you? Do they even know if you're who you are, if you're real? You know what I mean?
So we come out to Congress, we come to these conferences, we do things so that if you get an email from me or from Tom or from one of my team, you go, hey, I feel like I know them. I feel like I can trust this person.
Right.
I'm going to respond. And it may not be, hey, I've got a job for you. It may go, hey, Pete, you got 2 minutes? Can we have a quick chat?
Yeah.
Now, if I put that message into you, honestly, I think you go, hey, Nick, yeah, sure. When do you think?
Yeah.
Because we've met each other. We've taken time to invest in each other's podcasts, to support each other's objectives, to talk about payroll, to raise the profile of the industry, to elevate the profession. So that work is what builds trust.
It does,
and you know what? Payroll is the key holders to trust in any business.
Yeah.
Right? If you get the pay slip wrong, you break that trust, people look for new jobs.
Agreed.
And I would argue that we have to establish trust in the payroll community in order for you to trust us with your careers.
Yeah.
And people aren't going to trust their careers with people that don't have a
don't know.
reputation.
Yeah. How's the sentiment evolving with leadership, right? Executives, particularly when it comes to payroll talent. Like, are they starting to look at payroll in a different light and say we need a different type of leader coming into our payroll organization? Or are they still sort of, because I saw something the other day that was really aggravating to me, was I don't know if you saw it, there was a post going around. It got a little bit of swirl. You may have seen it. They were talking about this job posting, and I think it was here in the UK for a payroll position, and it was paying minimum wage.
Oh,
and there was a lot of commentary on that about what, that's really messed up and uninformed, blah, blah, blah. Are we making any progress at all?
Look, I think it's dangerous talking about the industry as a whole.
Yeah.
So just sum everything up and generalize it.
Yeah.
So Tom mentioned earlier, we've got unicorns now. Like 4 or 5 years ago, a unicorn in payroll didn't exist. We've now got high remote and deals straight off the bat. These are huge billion-pound companies that specialize in EOR and payroll-based solutions.
Right.
So that's put payroll on the map. And people that run those types of businesses understand the value of the people they need to recruit in order to build that solution.
Yeah.
Is there still a gap at C-suite for the in-house organizations that don't really focus on payroll as their proprietary selling piece? I don't know, you're selling paper as a business. Are they looking at payroll in the same way?
The gap is getting far bigger, isn't it?
Yeah.
Providers and in-house.
There is.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Interesting. Yeah. Too, the perception, one of the things I still see in my research is that the perception is still that payroll is less than, right? Clerks, processors, transactions, right? There's only a small percentage that are getting that executive presence and eminence. And it's in the biggest companies generally. But it's happening. Are you finding that are you seeing any more chief payroll officers, VPs?
I would challenge that a little bit. I think I did a webinar recently on does payroll need a rebrand? And I would argue, no. I mean, if you go back pre-COVID, it wasn't that long ago, payroll was not in the conversation around employee experience, was not in the conversation about chief payroll officers. This has all come relatively recently.
Yeah.
And it's come about because payroll is being recognized at a more senior and executive level. Not everywhere, but it's starting to change. So I think we're on the precipice of change, but now there is some recognition. It's not going to happen overnight. I think we have to almost change our mindset. I'm passionate about mindset anyway. Often payroll professionals, I don't want to be critical here, will talk about what they need and what they do.
Right.
To change the narrative though, we need to talk about how can we support you better?
Yeah.
How can we go to C-suite and go, we've
business
got access
partners.
to this. How can we partner with you? And that will raise the profile quicker than saying people don't realize how underappreciated we are. That's not to say that you're not. But that's not going to change the narrative. You've got to go, how can we move the needle?
I think for me, so we're at CIPP conference now. Mm-hmm. We all talk on our LinkedIn's, and within our bubble, payroll is recognized, right?
Yeah.
But if payroll people aren't championing themselves and their teams internally, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
We can have a load of nice LinkedIn posts and we need to be this, we need to be that. But if you're not going to the C-suite and saying, this is what I have done, and
Agreed.
this change that it has made.
Yeah.
So we listened to somebody at Congress in Orlando. I won't mention name, but the fraud, they were using AI fraud detection within payroll and workforce management.
Yep.
$300 million saved in 1 year.
Yeah.
That's a massive example. But that's the kind of numbers that the CFO will listen to.
Exactly.
20 years ago, the idea of having a chief protection officer for data seemed preposterous, and now they exist.
Even the CFO is a young role.
10 years ago, a chief diversity officer would have seemed preposterous, and now they're everywhere. Chief payroll officer will come. I don't know if they'll actually come in the guys that I know that you've been positioning for and really pushing. I see it more on an ethical side. So I see more of like a chief payroll ethicist being more realistic.
Yeah.
I think as the algorithmic age starts to take hold, we're going to see payroll take a bigger responsibility in the bias within the data, making sure it's ethical, making sure we've got pay transparency, that we've got no regional pay gaps across global boundaries. So I probably see more of a role for the chief payroll ethicist. I've created that title myself, than maybe a chief payroll officer.
Yeah. It'll encompass total rewards a lot more as well.
Or even a chief compliance officer that payroll could be reporting into. I mean, payroll doesn't have to be in the C-suite. They just have to be engaged by the C-suite at the right times and given the opportunity to provide their input and advice. What I think is really going to be necessary for payroll to do, and I've been saying this, is you've got to stop being led.
Yeah.
You have to start leading, and you need to lead with a point of view. That's going to come with your data, use your data, but you got to stretch, and you're going to have to put yourself out there a little bit. And you're right, not make it about you, make it about the business and how you can drive business outcomes. And I think you're going to get more of a sounding board for people to actually listen to.
I agree. Yeah. I would say there's however in there is and they're brilliant people, brilliant payroll people. But often you get to the top of leadership through your knowledge, not through your leadership capability. And there's a gap.
Yeah.
And I think that is a gap. We've got some great organizations, CIPP, Payroll Org and others trying to plug that a little bit. But I think there's a leadership gap as well. That at the moment, people have got to some amazing positions through their unbelievable knowledge of compliance, legislation, and all the things that they do. but that doesn't necessarily mean they've been invested in by the C-suite in terms of their leadership skills and the ability to partner. How many payroll people do you know that have been through any kind of business partnering course or senior leadership course?
Not many, yeah.
And these are skills you need at C-suite. We need to start plugging those gaps because they're more than capable of achieving it.
Yeah.
But it's like you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And
True.
We need more advocates for developing those skills, I think, in the industry. I think that would help.
Yeah. Another thing that we see in the Payroll Profession Confidence Index is we are bleeding talent. I mean, retiring at large clips. If you look at the 20 plus years, you've got 40 to 50%. If you look at the years of like 11 to 19, you've got 20 some to 30%. So you're looking at 70% of the population is pretty much on their way out at some point. Are we bringing how do we get young talent to come in here? You talked about an internship.
Perfect example.
How are we getting them in here?
So we have a perfect active example of one of our clients right now. He won't mind me mentioning his name. Paul Simpson, Ralph Lauren. We're helping Paul to hire a payroll intern, right?
Nice.
And it's like no experience whatsoever. It's actually one of the more difficult searches that we have.
I would imagine.
because you're looking for soft skills.
You're seeking for passion in an industry they don't know yet.
Yeah.
But you have to therefore assess a different type of skill set in advance.
Yeah.
The way that those guys are attracting talent, and Pete, you've just spoken about AI downstairs.
Yeah.
Right? Young people at the moment are interested in technology and AI. So yes, we're recruiting for a payroll internship, but it's focused on data, AI, in payroll. And that's how those guys, through ourselves, are attracting younger talent. And we speak about it all the time. How do we attract younger payroll talent into the industry?
Yeah. What do we do?
And it's amazing to finally have an example.
That's great.
A live example right now.
Do you think there's an opportunity to create some sort of program? I don't know, at the university level, at some other, in whatever way, to create these internships, start pipelining and recruiting.
There's definitely opportunity.
The next generation.
But will that move the needle globally? It'll move the needle in a small location if it was us to set that up, for example. I think to move the needle globally, I did this talk at Congress, we need to get better at storytelling.
Yeah.
At the moment, you see a job advertised, and you go and check this out if you listen to this, go on LinkedIn now and look for it. When the first payroll job you see, there'll be a list of responsibilities that pay people of using this system.
The shopping list.
Yeah.
There is no sell there. Like, why would you want to do that if you've never done it before? You've got to tell the story. If you want to be responsible for 76% of most organizational capital expenditure. Yeah. If you want to be at the forefront of technology, of data, of employee experience, if you want to get involved in the human side of financial wellness, start telling stories, because that is all payroll.
Yes.
Right? If you want to be at the center of trust within an organization and be relied upon by not just one employee, but every employee within that business as a sense of importance, go into payroll. We're not telling stories. We're saying, I need someone who can use this system and pay this many people on this frequency, who can do 401ks or whatever it is.
That's a very functional mindset.
It doesn't entice people in, because there are other functions selling better stories.
Yes.
So we need, and obviously our job as recruiters is we understand that. We try to sell great stories on behalf of our clients, where you can do this yourself. There are things that we can do.
You guys are obviously playing in both the US and the UK and in Europe. What do you see any differences in how the trends? What's the difference in terms of what's progressing in talent for payroll?
So I think we'll agree. So it's been a real education going to the US, because we are, to our knowledge, the first ever payroll specialist recruitment agency to launch in the US. Now, we thought there's something called a reporting mindset and a creative mindset. So I'll tell a little story, then I'll go back. If you have a reporting mindset, there's a guy who was a shoemaker, right? Mm-hmm. He sent his two children off to a foreign land where the people in those lands didn't wear shoes. The first son called back and said, "Why have you sent me here, Dad? No one here wears shoes. I'm not going to make any money. I'm going to be bankrupt. I want to come home." The second son landed in the same place, went, "Here, no one wears shoes. I'm going to make a fortune." All right. So one is a reporting and one is a creative mindset. Yeah. In the US, when we launched, we thought it would be massive because we were the first. What we've realized is in the US, people have been recruiting talent in different ways for years. Yeah. So when we speak to them, well, why do we need you? Because we've been able to find payroll talent since we launched the business. And people don't recognize yet that there's talent and there's talent. Right. So you don't know what you don't know until you see something different. So for us, it's been saying, I'm not saying you can't find the talent. The question is, are you finding the best talent for your business, for your culture? It's going to evolve your business forward, and give us a chance, because we'll show you what that looks like.
It's like being successful in spite of yourself and then thinking that that's the best. Yeah, no, I hear you.
It's much more of an education process in the US. In the UK, people know who we are. Recruitment is slightly more adopted in the way it's done here. And that's been to put an example, there's 76,000 agencies across the UK. There's 20,000 in the whole of the US. Right. So it's more adopted as a model here.
And there's big firms, right? I won't name names, that are focused on accounting, and payroll gets bucketed into that. But
not the same thing.
It's not the same thing. And they don't really specialize in it. So I do love the niche that you guys have carved.
It's also a huge change in industry, but also our industry. Like we mentioned the big names earlier of these $1 billion companies, like they have changed the hiring landscape for payroll specifically, not wider recruiting, it's payroll specifically. So actually the way that those companies need to hire has changed, and it's the education piece.
Yeah.
And like we went into the US because one of our US headquartered clients that we were recruiting for in the UK asked us to. Right.
Yeah.
So there is clearly a need for it, and that's why we capitalized.
And if every single client we've won, it's a slow process, has stayed with us, and we've had huge traction and success. And they've suddenly gone, but we've really struggled in the past until it's like, you would, because you didn't know anything different.
Right.
So if there were clients this who are struggling, like, you don't know what you don't know until you try something different. But
are you at a point where you've got enough, I don't want to say experience, but enough reps, enough hires, enough placements that you can now start to look at some data and say, hey, this is what makes a success. I don't know how much you guys follow up with the folks after you've placed them, but like, how do you, can you do that now? Maybe there's an opportunity for you guys to say, we have data on what makes a great payroll leader last and thrive and all of that versus doesn't. Is there any insights that you have from that?
There are some insights, although I would say it's always industry specific. A great leader that would thrive within government sector is very different to someone who would thrive in financial. This is the beauty of payroll, right? So if you go to a recruiter that isn't a payroll specialist, as an example, they will look at the word payroll and go, hey, I can find someone on LinkedIn that's got payroll. And it's like the nuance of payroll is complex.
And again, they're going to look at systems, whatever. They're not going to look at the soft.
They'll understand that French payroll legislation is incredibly more complex than than Italian and all these different things that come into it, or the difference, the nuances between state payrolls, or the nuances between UK and US, whatever it is, the nuances between systems. Like, it's our job, not just the software, but the difference between paying weekly, fortnily, and monthly.
Exactly,
Executive pay versus or expatriate pay, all these different things. So we have to know that stuff. So when a client gives us a briefing, we instantly kind of have an understanding of the kind of person you're going to need. It's not someone who has payroll on a resume. We've got to go deeper. I don't know if that answers the question, but it's way more nuanced.
I think we're getting there, aren't we? Like we're collecting enough data now that we could get there.
You could productize, maybe you could productize. But no, that's interesting, because I do wonder if the traits, like if it's all the things that we think. Look, when I was a payroll leader, I always said, I'm going to hire the best attitude that I can. I'm going to find someone who wants to learn this. I can teach anyone payroll. I can't teach you to have adaptability and creativity and, some of those softer things are hard to develop, right? But what I could do is take someone with a great attitude. Like, for example, when I went to Disney, I had to hire 23 people for my team, right? To bring this highly complex payroll from ABC television back to Florida and replicate it. And what I did was I recognized, like, I'm not going to get everything I want. And it's going to be hard. So they seeded my team with a few folks that had experience. And then I went out and got the rest. And I did get some experience, but I was willing to take chances on people who had amazing attitudes and amazing willingness to learn. And they were the best hires. Nice. They literally, because I was like, look, we will surround you with the people and the resources and the procedures and everything you need to do to be successful. We'll teach you payroll to the extent we need to. But it was largely rooted in their initiative and their ability to adapt.
I think attitude beats knowledge every time. It's also why the human payroll is going to outlast the algorithmic payroll robot, right? Because you need that human, need that attitude, that tenacity, that intellectual thinking. However, I would say that in terms of the data and things that we have at our disposal, we could use it and remunerate it in a different way. And we could look at how we could service the industry more. I think our focus has always just been on finding the best talent, but we get the same objections that your audience can get.
Right.
They want to get a new system, or they want to bring in AI. They don't get the investment because the C-suite doesn't see the value. So we have the same problem. So sometimes we'll have clients going, we really want to work with you guys, but our C-suite won't give us the investment to use the recruitment budget. So you end up getting an accountant who's never done payroll. I'm not saying they can't do it, but your risk of getting it right or wrong is different.
Right.
If you come with us, you're going to get someone who's already passionate about payroll, who's already walked the plank and done the boards. So again, we have the same challenges payroll folk have. Can their businesses give them the investment to hire the best talent for their organizations to move that organization forward? And the answer is no.
The other thing that I would say is an out of the box way to think about this, and I learned this as a solution architect working for IBM and TCS, working on big mega deals, and I would go into these big enterprises and do due diligence with their payroll and HR teams. And one of the things I came across, I even experienced as at Disney myself, is I've seen some actually very tremendous leaders that have no background in payroll, but they took a payroll leadership role, say in a shared service center or in some sort of part of the organization, because it was an opportunity for them to get promoted into a higher level. Like, for example, I remember one time I did a little bit of work with Google, and they had promoted 2 engineers into global payroll. And these guys were running global payroll and they had absolutely no background. No background. It was a promotional opportunity, but they were brilliant guys, willing to learn, and had great leadership skills. And that, I think, was really interesting to me because I've seen a few of those where people be really successful pivoting from another area where they can bring leadership and outside lens to a process that maybe just needs leadership.
So I spoke to a CHRO. It would have been actually probably best part of a year ago now. It feels like it was a few months ago. About a year ago. 9,000 employee business.
Yeah.
And they were recruiting for a payroll person. I tried to see if we could support. And I said, we've already placed it. We've moved our person from accounts into payroll. It's a head of payroll position.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that's great. And I went, you know what? It's working out really well. We've got 9,000 employees, 96% accuracy rate. I was like, well, okay, well, that sounds good. But that means 4% of your 9,000, which is what, 360 people. 360 people every month are getting paid incorrectly, right? Now, the stats tell us that 24% of people, also, if you've been paid incorrectly once in a calendar year, you're 24% more likely to look for a new job.
Right.
You get paid incorrectly 2 times in a year, that jumps to 49%.
Yeah.
So I said, if they've paid that person for the last 2 months incorrectly, you've now got, of that 360, it's 170 people in your workforce now looking for a new job because you've decided to save some money at the back end by promoting from accounts. So I'm not saying it can't be done.
Yeah. But the right leader. But
there's also that you still need a level of payroll expertise in the right positions.
Yeah.
Or it can all start to fall down.
Totally.
So it worked for you because at Disney, you would have the right leader at the front managing it.
Yes.
But if they brought someone who'd never done payroll into that role as hard 23.
Oh, no.
It'd have fallen down. So you've got to get it.
They were surrounded by people who knew what they were doing. But the point is that leadership came from outside. What I'm getting at here is there's a lot of really bright, smart, skilled people that are entering the workforce that are coming back out of because maybe they're being let go. There's a lot of folks being laid off. Is there opportunities to maybe start looking for pivots at the right, and it's not going to be everybody, to your point, but there could be some good talent out there that's not considering payroll that they could really thrive from another world and come in and just make some great contributions. I don't know that people even think of that.
No, it comes back to your storytelling piece, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's just like, so we did a survey, only a small one with payroll. Pay and remote working is always going to come up.
Yeah.
But actually, the most important thing that payroll people are looking for is some kind of progression.
Yes. And that's a problem.
And to be noticed.
Yeah.
So I think like what we're advising clients to do that costs absolutely nothing is storytelling in the job description as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So this will help at a junior level, senior level, and mid level. It's like shout about the opportunities that you're going to have. Shout about the opportunity to work alongside a leader who is a CIPP or PAYO tutor. You're going to learn from them. All of these things are completely free.
But I also think we're missing a slightly bigger point here, in my opinion, Pete, and apologies for raising it, because I'm not saying we shouldn't bring new talent in. We absolutely need it.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, there's a lot of people leaving the workforce. There's also a phenomenal number of amazing payroll candidates who are being overlooked for positions because they either can't be found, we don't know where to look, we don't know how to engage them, they're being overlooked because their resumes aren't being prepared correctly, or they're being poorly briefed on an opportunity, you're putting round pegs in square holes. And that's a problem. So whilst I am all for bringing new people into the industry, absolutely. In fact, I'm an advocate for it. I do talks for a company called Founders for Schools. I go around to local schools in my area and speak about payroll as a career to school leaders.
Good.
So I'm passionate about it. But I don't want to lose the idea that there's also some phenomenal talent already existing with loads of payroll skills that aren't getting opportunities.
Agreed.
People are trying to put them either in the wrong places or they can't find them or they can't engage them. And obviously that's
or they're just not vocal enough to put themselves out there, and that's not always been payroll's way.
It still isn't.
They're humble, they're stoic, they do their job, and they get it done, and they're reliable. So
that's why the industry needs guys like you. Right?
I'm trying, exactly, I'm trying to just think of creative ways that we can get more folks with great. What I don't love, what I hate is payroll's never been the first stop for the best and the brightest, right? And not to say that payroll doesn't have best and brightest folks, is that people aren't starting out going, hey, I want to see about maybe doing payroll, right? They're thinking of other things. They're romanticizing other roles. It'd be great if the best and brightest would start to consider payroll on their short list in the beginning.
It comes back to storytelling. So that's a very transparent example here. If you want to be a CFO, I'm telling you now, the journey to CFO will typically be longer, or head of accounts or head of finance. Whatever. It's much quicker to get head of finance and payroll. If you want to get to the top of your career quickly, if you're smart in the world of payroll, you can get from payroll administrator to head of payroll director and beyond. way quicker.
Yes.
You haven't got to do 6 years in practice. You haven't got to do all that other stuff. So
but there is a bottleneck.
You've got to tell
though.
that story.
Yeah, but there is a bottleneck. And I can see that in my data. There's a bottleneck of people not getting past that upper ranks, right? Because those upper ranks are not available, I think, in a lot of cases. There isn't a VP position for them to go to, or there isn't some other thing. And I think we've got, you said that earlier, there's got to be a better career progression for me to see that there's a long-term opportunity for me to move up in this company or other companies.
I think AI is going to be one of the things that creates that opportunity, not takes it away. Right?
Yeah,
so we've got to be embracing it and say, okay, we're going to be bringing this stuff into our organization. We've got to make sure it's ethical, that it's fair, that it's transparent. And who are the guardians of data in most organizations? Who are the guardians of trust in any organization? It's payroll. It's the only department that touches every employee, every single pay cycle. No, HR doesn't do that, right?
It's the only one that'll get if they don't do their job, the CEO and the C-suite might go to jail.
Right. It's also the only one which every single pay cycle, I say pay cycles in the US, a lot of payrolls are weekly. In the UK, it's predominantly monthly, but every pay cycle where you hand over a document that is absolutely engulfed in the word trust.
Yeah.
Because in your pay slip, however way you receive it, is your financial independence, is your school fees, is your university savings, is your retirement. That is an incredibly important document of trust.
Yeah.
You get that wrong, you deliver it late, everything breaks down.
Yeah.
So we're in a huge opportunity here if we use AI intelligently, if we're able to be those, I go back to the Chief Payroll Ethicist idea where we can be,
I like that.
help with the ethical decisions behind the data and be the guardians of the algorithmic age.
Yeah.
I think it's hugely exciting.
Yeah.
But it is going to require a shift in mindset.
Yeah. For everyone.
I mean,
everyone.
It used to be 5 years ago, payroll was saying my responsibility is paying everyone accurately, on time and compliantly. That is still true.
That's table stakes.
It's table stakes. Yeah. You got to think. You took the words out of my mouth. You got to think bigger now, right? And otherwise, it won't move the needle forward.
I say it all the time. Payroll leaders are business leaders. They just sit in payroll, but they've got to behave that way. They've got to lead their organizations and not be led. And I'm afraid that there's too many that are not speaking up and not being vocal and not telling stories. And I believe really that's going to be a key part of the job, is being a storyteller and a change agent and a strategic partner. And that's a different skill set, right? That's a big four skill set in a lot of ways. Deloitte or something, or EY, whatever. The consultancy sort of mindset, I think, is what I want to see payroll. I think that's a great pathway for payroll to have their mind shaped around, to be like, hey, you're going to be an advisor to this business. You got to walk it. You got to walk that, right? You got to talk that.
There's a coaching mind's question. It says, when you say yes, what are you saying no to? And when you say no, what are you saying yes to? So I think for the payroll people out there saying, well, I don't need to change my organization. I'm paying everyone accurately. I'm paying everyone on time. It's all working smoothly. You're actually saying yes to losing your staff through attrition.
Yeah.
It's the competitors that are implementing EWA, that are making things better for their employees, they're going to start moving to competitors. You may not notice it immediately. It'll be a subtle shift.
Yeah.
And suddenly you'll realize that you've got more levers than usual and people are going to competitors because they've got more inventive and innovative payroll solutions.
Yeah.
It's like, you've got to keep evolving.
Yeah.
Payroll's always evolved, right? We've got amazing change agents in this profession. You've just got to, as you say, be a bit louder, champion it. We need more cross collaboration with HR, with finance and procurement and with IT and with all these different departments.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's something we're testing in the PPCI as well. What are these relationships like and what are they reaping, and who's getting the most outcomes in ROI from it? And what we're finding is when the executive leadership team has a line of sight and a line of communication with payroll, the outcomes are immensely different. Maturity, ROI, value, collaboration, just all of it opens wide up. So it's almost like you need that one executive stakeholder that can champion you, and you can, again, anchor onto that and work with them, and it'll amplify.
I think what's important is that senior stakeholder isn't going to come and find you.
No.
Like it takes the practitioners to go and shout about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's really important. We can talk about it on LinkedIn, but like I said earlier, you have to go and do it internally.
Jason Lee, I don't know if you've seen, shout out to Jason Lee, the FinTech founder. He was talking to the payroll leaders at Payroll Org Congress this year. He's got his 30 by 30, right? The Chief Payroll Officer thing. And, one of the things he said to them is it's not enough to just come to your executives with a point of view on payroll. You've also got to have a point of view on something other than payroll that intersects or is adjacent and creates value as well. And I think that's a great advice.
I would say,
and that's from a CEO himself. Right?
I would say don't go to anyone with any view on payroll. You're better off saying, hey, like, this is what I do and let me tell you about payroll. You've lost them already.
Yeah.
You need to go to those counterparts and say, hey, tell me what your challenge is. Where's your challenge? If it's an inclusion, great. Let me look at the data and see if I can find a pay transparency issue, a regional pay gap issue or something in my data that might support your challenge.
Yeah.
If it's in IT and they've got a problem with, I don't know, security or getting out, whatever it is, the answers are often in the data.
Yeah.
So don't even go in with an agenda of what you do. Just go in and say, what is it you need help with right now?
Right.
What's your challenge? Because
Right.
the chances are with the data at my fingertips, which is significant,
Yep.
I've probably got an answer in here for you.
Yep.
Let me go away.
And just start with one data point. All it has to be is one data point that is the most resonating for them. And it's going to create a conversation that'll create another conversation. So look, guys, I really appreciate this. We could go on and on, man. But I know you guys we want to get a drink. We got the waiter keep coming over here.
I know you're keen to try.
I feel like I need to buy a drink just for this waiter. He keeps checking on us.
I need to introduce you to Bombay Sapphire. It's my favorite gin in the UK.
Yes. But I want to ask you guys, I want to wrap up with two questions. Your advice to payroll leaders out there right now about their careers, your advice to companies that are maybe or aren't prioritizing payroll right now and maybe are going to at some point hire a payroll leader. What would be your advice to both of those parties?
I would say understand that you're the guardians of trust in your organization. Go and find a C-suite member of staff or stakeholder that you can engage with and ask them what their challenge is and ask how you can support them with that challenge. And when it comes to finding talent, sometimes, as Einstein said, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is madness, right?
Yeah.
So maybe try a different approach. There are people out there like us. There aren't many others in the US, but there are in the UK that really specialize in this space. And if you don't believe they're out there, I can tell you they are. People do exist. You just don't know where to look.
Yeah.
I would say embrace change as well. Like we've spoken so much today about change here at CIPP. Embrace the change. AI is coming. Like you have to keep ahead of it. I know it's so cliche, but embrace the change.
The train's already left the station.
Yeah. Change is inevitable. You got to lean into it, I think. And just with the AI thing, it's like a typhoon. I heard a business leader say it's a typhoon coming. You can either stand on the beach and get hit with it, or you can get a surfboard and go ride this thing and see where it takes you. And I like the latter. I think it's the same thing. This is the golden age of payroll. It's now is our time. We've got the innovation. We've got the attention. We've got the investment. Now's the opportunity for us to really do some cool stuff. But look, Tom, Nick, I appreciate you guys taking the time doing this. And thank you for what you do for the payroll community, man. We need other champions, not payroll, to your point, speaking about payroll. And I think it's a huge help for us. So thank you.
No,
appreciate
pleasure.
You, man.
Good to see you. Pleasure.